For 3 years, I carried a silent, unrequited love for my stepbrother. Finally, he brought home the girl he loved. My diary, hidden in a drawer, was accidentally discovered by her. She opened it, then publicly exposed my deepest secret to everyone. Lucas looked at me, his eyes filled with disgust. "You sicken me." That night, I packed my bags and left that house, severing all ties with him. It wasn't until I told my mother I was getting engaged that his mocking laughter echoed through the phone. "You're getting engaged? Who are you trying to fool?" I smiled softly. "Lucas, this time it's real." A long silence stretched across the line, then the sound of crashing objects shattered the quiet night. 3 years of silent love. I knew Lucas already had someone in his heart. It was his birthday. I carefully prepared a gift, writing a long, heartfelt letter. Inside the gift box, there was also my diary, filled with entries detailing my secret affection for him. But when I stepped into the restaurant, I saw a delicately made-up girl beside him. He smiled, introducing her to everyone. "This is Luna, my girlfriend." His hand gently squeezed her shoulder, his eyes brimming with tenderness. "I've liked her for a long time. I finally managed to win her over. She was worried, so I kept it from everyone." My heart was pierced by an indescribable pain. A question suddenly echoed in my mind: when exactly did I stop hiding my feelings? Back then, right after I graduated to celebrate me starting my career, he took me out with his friends. That day, he walked me all the way to my room, but even after I stepped inside, he didn't leave. He slowly approached, softly closing the door. My heart pounded. The person I loved was right in front of me. How could I not tremble? Perhaps it was the alcohol. I wrapped my arms around his waist and whispered his name. "Lucas." He chuckled, a soft sound in my ear, tinged with a hint of helplessness. "You're not being polite. You've never called me Lucas before." I looked up, our eyes meeting in silence. A second later, he leaned down and placed a light kiss on my forehead. "Good girl." Luna was saying something I couldn't quite catch, while Lucas simply lowered his head, listening, a faint smile playing on his lips. Watching them, I suddenly felt utterly out of place. Throughout the meal, Lucas continuously put food on Luna's plate. I just quietly stirred my rice, my mouth tasting bitter. Noticing my distraction, Luna tilted her head, then turned to him and asked, "Your sister seems a bit unhappy." Lucas merely glanced at me, his tone cold. "She's always like this, sulking. Who knows who she's trying to impress?" He paused for a moment, then looked directly at me. "Iris, eat if you want to. If you can't, then go home." I forced a smile. Things had come to this. Staying would only make me look worse. I stood up, gently apologizing to my mother and stepfather. "I'm not feeling well today. I'll excuse myself and go home." As I walked out the door, I faintly heard Luna's pampered voice scolding him. "Why are you so harsh with your sister?" He chuckled, his voice indifferent. "She's not my real sister, you know." My steps faltered. That sentence felt so familiar. It was when we were still entangled in that ambiguous relationship. He used to joke, "Even if we really loved each other, what then? We're not blood siblings." Back then, his words had felt as sweet as honey, but now, hearing them again, they were only chillingly bitter. That night, I fell into a restless sleep, full of dreams. Waking up in the middle of the night, I saw a dark figure standing by my bed. Panicked, I clutched the edge of my blanket, about to scream, but then a hand clamped over my mouth. A familiar scent enveloped me. It was Lucas. His deep voice echoed in the darkness. "Leaving so soon? Where's my gift?" I didn't answer. In the dead of night, my heartbeat thumped loudly. When I finally spoke, my voice was hoarse. "Lucas, entering my room in the middle of the night, don't you think there's something wrong with that?" He frowned, his tone impatient. "Playing games again?" I resolutely pulled the blanket over my head, my voice muffled. "Go away, I won't prepare gifts for you anymore." Beside me, he took a deep breath, then stood up. The door softly clicked shut. I pulled down the blanket. The gift box was still on the table. I picked it up and put it in the closet. My diary was hidden deep in the drawer. The love letter was torn to shreds, scattered in the trash. This unrequited love should end here. But I never imagined that just one day later, my deepest secret would be exposed. Luna accidentally found my diary in the drawer, then innocently held it out to me. "Iris, I really like this notebook. Can you give it to me?" Seeing it, my face instantly changed. I lunged, snatching it away, my voice cold. "Didn't you learn manners? Who gave you permission to touch other people's things without asking?" Lucas heard this and immediately barked. "Why are you talking like that?" Luna's eyes welled up with tears, her voice choked. "I just liked this notebook." But then she suddenly stopped, a malicious glint in her eyes. "Oh, Lucas, it seems like your name is all over this." At that moment, I closed my eyes, my secret laid bare, and when I opened them, the only thing I saw was his gaze, full of contempt. "You disgust me." Tears suddenly streamed down my cheeks. Luna stood behind Lucas, her lips curving into a faint, gentle smile as she looked at me. My mother, having seen everything, pulled me back and forced me to apologize to Lucas. She said I was young and didn't understand things. Just then, Luna spoke in a sweet, demure voice. "Auntie, it's okay. Iris is still young. Maybe she can't quite distinguish between dependence and romantic feelings." My mother nodded in agreement, her eyes growing even fonder of Luna. I just quietly stared at Lucas, hoping he would say something. But he just stood there silently, indifferently listening to them make excuses for me. Biting my lip, I stubbornly refused to speak. My mother's anger suddenly erupted, and a resounding slap landed on my face. Clutching my stinging cheek, I looked at her in stunned disbelief. Luna subtly covered her mouth, stifling a small gasp. My mother also looked somewhat flustered, avoiding my gaze. Seeing Lucas remain indifferent, showing no reaction whatsoever, I finally conceded defeat. I quietly bowed my head and apologized. I was foolish and did something I shouldn't have. I caused trouble for everyone. With that, I turned and walked blankly to my room. Pulling my suitcase from under the bed, I thought, perhaps I should leave here. Before I knew it, dusk had fallen. I locked my suitcase and let out a long sigh. Suddenly, there was a sound at the door. A familiar figure appeared before me. I looked at him, my voice calm. "I'll be leaving soon." Lucas chuckled softly. "Who told you not to give me a gift? This is your punishment." My heart ached. So all those insults were just because I didn't prepare a gift for him? Thinking this, I also laughed. "You've seen the gift, haven't you, Lucas? Your girlfriend already held it up and showed it to everyone, so it's as good as given." As soon as I finished speaking, the smile on his face suddenly froze. I felt a sudden flicker of interest. Tilting my head, I asked, "What's wrong? Not happy? Didn't you want a gift? I gave it to you, so why aren't you happy?" Lucas suddenly looked up, his voice deepening. "Stop talking." My slapped cheek still throbbed. I didn't know what he was thinking, only that he took a deep breath, then turned and left. But only a moment later, footsteps echoed in the hallway again. Annoyed, I turned around, intending to ask, "What now?" However, when I clearly saw who it was, I suddenly froze. It was my mother. I quickly avoided her gaze, even as her hand gently rested on my cheek. "Does it still hurt, my child?" My father passed away early in an accident. My mother brought me to the Liu family's house. There was always an invisible barrier between us. The disparity in our circumstances meant my mother always had to endure, always smiling ingratiatingly at others. I had no right to blame her. I could only blame myself for falling for someone I shouldn't have. Seeing my silence, my mother softly mumbled, "It's my fault. I'm not strong enough. But Iris, you can like anyone, but why Lucas?" I didn't answer. Because even I didn't know why I liked Lucas, nor did I understand why everything turned out this way. Looking at my mother, her eyes brimming with tears, I gently leaned in and hugged her, my voice choked with sobs. "I don't like him anymore, Mom. I don't like him anymore. From tomorrow, I'll move out. You stay at the Liu family's house. Don't be too submissive." After this, my mother had no way to keep me. She could only repeatedly tell me to take good care of myself. We talked like that until late into the night. Even after my mother left, my heart still felt heavy. Lying in bed, I tossed and turned all night, unable to sleep a wink. Since that day, I hadn't seen Lucas for a very long time. Even though we worked at the same company, we never crossed paths once. I thought I had become calm enough to accept him having a girlfriend, that I could forget the ambiguity between us in the past. But then he unexpectedly called, his voice carrying a demanding tone, giving me no chance to refuse. "Today is Luna's birthday. She wants you to come and celebrate." I remained silent for a long time, trying to find a reason to refuse. "I don't want to go," he chuckled dryly. "I've already sent you the address. Come quickly. If you don't come, I'll call your mother." As soon as he finished speaking, he hung up. I looked at my phone screen, giving a bitter smile, but still had to comply. Because I knew if he really went to my mother, I wouldn't be able to refuse. At the party, as soon as I arrived, before I could even step inside, I heard Luna's gentle voice. "Lucas, will Iris come? I just want her to join in the fun a little. Things were so tense last time, we should mend our relationship. After all, you two are family." Lucas let out a soft laugh, his voice tinged with sarcasm. "Whose family with her?" The moment I pushed the door open and stepped into the room, it fell silent. Then one of Lucas's friends spoke, breaking the awkward atmosphere. "Iris is here. Come, sit down." I chose a secluded corner and quietly sat down, trying to minimize my presence. But Luna wouldn't leave me alone. She walked over, gently taking my hand. Iris still doesn't have a boyfriend, does she? Lucas, I remember your friend Caleb is still single. The two of you could try dating, don't you think? I stiffened, unconsciously looking towards Lucas, wanting to see his reaction. But he didn't even glance at me once. He even gently stroked Luna's head, agreeing with her. You're right. Then he gently nudged Caleb towards me. Go on, sit next to her. A man should be a little more proactive. My fingertips trembled slightly. In that moment, I finally understood. In Lucas's heart, I was nothing. This realization made me take a deep breath. I proactively called Caleb over to sit next to me. I even calmly pulled out my phone to add his contact. When I accidentally looked up, I caught Lucas's indifferent gaze. But as soon as I looked at him, he casually looked away. My nose suddenly stung, so this was what he wanted to see. During the party, someone suggested playing a game of truth or dare. In the first round, Luna lost. The penalty was to kiss someone of the opposite sex for 1 minute. Her face flushed, she lowered her head shyly. Lucas seemed a little helpless, his hands clasped over his knees as he sighed softly. If you lost, you have to be proactive, right? Seeing her still standing there, his eyes filled with indulgence. Then, without hesitation, he reached out and held the back of her head, leaning down to kiss her. In that moment, 1 minute stretched into an eternity. I watched silently, neither avoiding nor hiding. It wasn't until the time was up that he reluctantly released her. Luna pouted, complaining, "You've smudged all my lipstick." I didn't want to hear any more. I stood up and left the room, heading to the restroom. When I came out, I accidentally saw Luna looking in the mirror, reapplying her lipstick. I intended to slip past, but she called out to me. Iris, you should stay away from Lucas. It's better for everyone if you get a boyfriend soon. I didn't respond, just walked quickly out. But as soon as I sat back on the sofa, she returned, sweetly calling Lucas's name as she entered. Oh, Iris got so shy just from a few words and ran away. I just asked her what she thought of Caleb, and she nodded once then ran off. When the party ends, let Caleb take her home, okay? I froze. This blatant fabrication made me tremble with anger. Caleb noticed this, took off his jacket, and draped it over my shoulders. He leaned down and gently asked, "Not feeling well?" I shook my head, trying hard to keep my eyes wide open so my tears wouldn't fall. Perhaps he felt sorry for me, so he gently pulled me to rest my head on his shoulder. Just cry on my shoulder for a bit. I didn't refuse. I didn't want anyone else to see my pathetic state. A moment later, I composed myself. The game continued. I won a few rounds, but luck couldn't stay with me forever. Finally, it was my turn to lose. Luna clapped her hands, smiling brightly. You have to choose someone of the opposite sex to kiss, right? It can't be just Lucas and me kissing, can it? If you lose, you have to pay the price. I looked towards Lucas. He was leaning on the sofa, gently swirling a glass of wine, his gaze still fixed on Luna. I smiled, then shifted my eyes to Caleb. Caleb, is that okay? He seemed a little stunned, but then nodded. Under everyone's gaze, he leaned down and kissed me. His thumbs skillfully covered my lips, making the kiss feel fleeting, almost ethereal, barely touching before pulling away. Caleb smiled helplessly. All right, don't make it difficult for a girl anymore. Everyone laughed in agreement. Only Lucas quietly placed his wine glass on the coffee table, his voice softly echoing with a sarcastic chuckle. Really got a kiss, didn't she? The atmosphere in the room suddenly grew heavy. The smile on Luna's lips also slowly faded. Caleb chuckled softly, his lips curling into a meaningful smirk. Lucas, no need to be so tense. Today is Luna's birthday. Don't spoil everyone's fun. Lucas silently stared at Caleb, his eyes deep, then suddenly laughed. Just kidding. The tension in the room quickly dissipated. Luna glanced at me, her eyes complex, but very quickly she returned to Lucas's side, resuming her docile, dependent demeanor as before. From then until the end of the party, she didn't try to make things difficult for me again. Before leaving, Caleb offered to drive me home. Luna, having had too much to drink, was leaning into Lucas's arms. He looked at me as if he wanted to say something, but in the end, he just looked down at the person in his arms, then silently carried her away. When Lucas wasn't looking, Luna slightly opened her eyes and gave me a faint smile. However, when Caleb turned back, she immediately closed her eyes, feigning sleep. Standing on the curb, Caleb and I were both silent. Finally, I broke the quiet atmosphere. I didn't say those things, did I? Caleb looked at me, his eyes showing confusion. I thought for a moment, then emphasized again, Luna made it up. He suddenly leaned closer to me. So, does that mean you think I'm not good enough? No. My face flushed unconsciously. I didn't know how to explain. He cleared his throat, his voice gentle. Just kidding, go home and rest. Don't let unworthy people affect you. I nodded slightly. Throughout the drive back to the apartment, neither of us said anything more. Caleb stood below, looking up, waiting until I turned on the lights in my apartment before turning to leave. Having drunk a little at the party, I quickly went to bed. However, as I was dozing off, I suddenly heard the door open. I immediately woke up, sitting up and instinctively reaching for a pillow. A figure gradually appeared in my sight. Without hesitation, I threw the pillow at it. But the person easily caught it, then casually tossed it aside. Only then did I clearly see his face. It was Luca's. I was stunned, realizing I had forgotten to change the door code. In those ambiguous days, this place used to be our little corner to escape the world. Here, he once said he loved me, once hugged me, once kissed me. He once swore that when he was able to go public, we would be together. I had waited, I had hoped. But then he suddenly appeared in public hand in hand with someone else. In recent days, his every word, every action, reminded me that I was merely a diversion for him when he was bored. I snapped back to reality, staring at him, my voice cold. "What are you doing here?" He casually sat down on the edge of the bed, his eyes intently fixed on me, not blinking once. After a long silence, he unexpectedly leaned in to kiss me. Unable to push him away, I immediately kicked his hip, seizing the opportunity to break free. Lucas took a shallow breath, then chuckled. "Iris, who kisses better, him or me? How could you let him kiss you?" He looked at me, his voice growing deeper and deeper. "Did he come up to your place when he drove you home just now?" I didn't answer. The prolonged silence made him impatient. "Why aren't you answering?" Thinking of Luna's smug look earlier, I suddenly found it absurd. "You dropped Luna off and then immediately came to find me?" His voice still carried a hint of gentle indulgence. "She drank a bit too much. She was very obedient. I put her to sleep before I left. You, on the other hand, always make people worry." I looked at the person I had lived under the same roof with for so many years, suddenly feeling like a stranger. I didn't want to think about how he could accommodate both of us in his heart. I only knew one thing: I had to cut him off completely. So when he tried to speak again, I interrupted him. "Whether you worry or not has nothing to do with me anymore. Just manage Luna well." Lucas's hand, which was about to reach for mine, froze. His voice grew colder. "I came to you first. Are you really so unreasonable? Don't you dare regret it one day and beg me to come back." I closed my eyes. "Fine, I won't regret it. Go." A moment later, I heard the rustle of clothes, then footsteps fading away and the door softly closing. I opened my eyes. Tears silently fell. This time, it was probably truly over. When you like someone, every encounter feels intentional. When you let go of someone, deliberately avoiding them isn't difficult at all. On the contrary, Caleb appeared before me every few days, taking me out to eat, or if it was a beautiful day, we'd go hiking to the summit and even take commemorative photos. As time passed, I gradually grew accustomed to his companionship. It wasn't that I didn't notice his intentions, but it made me uneasy. The prolonged ambiguity with Lucas made me afraid of entering a real relationship. However, Caleb was very patient. He brought me joy, gave me a sense of freedom. I slowly tried to open up to him, telling him about the twisted past between Lucas and me. Just because his father married my mother, Lucas was annoyed but didn't know where to direct his anger, so he focused it on me. Over time, even he couldn't distinguish whether those feelings were real or fake. And I, in turn, easily fell into his gentleness. His eyes were full of sorrow. Unlike the contempt I had once expected, Caleb's eyes held only deep empathy. He reached out his hand to me. "From now on, I will protect you." I hesitated, softly asking, "Can I trust you?" He looked at me, smiling gently. "No, you should ask if I am worthy of your trust." Then he took my hand. "Trust me, I am worthy." The comfort of being with Caleb gradually made me forget Lucas, but they were friends, so gatherings were still unavoidable. Caleb was worried I would be uncomfortable seeing Lucas again, so if Lucas was present, he wouldn't take me along. All their friends came with their partners, only Caleb came alone. During the meal, he messaged me, his tone playfully sulky. "Honey, everyone else has a partner, but I have a girlfriend I can't bring along. But it's okay, you're just for me." I have to hide you, right? By the time I read the message, some time had passed. I just found it amusing. He really was good at comforting himself. After a moment's thought, I stood up, got ready, and went out. Love is a two-person affair. He treasured me, I should reciprocate his care. I arrived at the location he had given me, standing under a tree outside, estimating the party was about to end. I messaged him, "I'm here to pick you up." Just a few minutes later, I saw him run out. His eyes lit up when he saw me. His first instinct was to take off his jacket and drape it over my shoulders. "Iris, why did you come?" I naturally linked my arm through his. "I came because I wanted to." As soon as I finished speaking, his phone suddenly rang. He answered. I clearly heard Lucas's deep, dangerous voice. "Caleb, who's the girl next to you?" Caleb turned, meeting Lucas's cold gaze. He leaned in and kissed my cheek, calmly replying, "My girlfriend." Lucas took a deep breath, his voice even colder. "I asked for her name." Caleb smirked. "You guys introduced her to me yourselves. Have you forgotten her name already? Iris, of course." As soon as he finished speaking, I saw Lucas grip his phone tightly, then throw it forcefully to the ground. Not wanting to stay long, I called a car and pulled Caleb away. Through the rearview mirror, I saw Luna run out and pull Lucas's arm, saying something. But unlike other times, this time he didn't comfort her. He shook her hand off, turned, and walked away. I withdrew my gaze and sighed softly. Caleb noticed and gently asked, "Are you angry?" I shook my head. "No, it's just that you were a bit hot-headed. What if you had gotten into a fight?" He looked aggrieved. "Am I always destined to hide in the shadows?" Seeing his sad expression, an idea suddenly sparked. I looked him straight in the eyes and blurted out, "Caleb, let's get engaged." After we decided to get engaged, Caleb proactively arranged everything. I no longer had any contact with the Liu family, so I didn't inform them. I only called my mother. Although this was my personal decision, an engagement was still something I should share with her. As soon as she answered, my mother scolded me for not contacting her for so long, asking about my life, my work, and when I would visit her. After she finished speaking, I finally said, "Mom, I'm getting engaged." There was a long silence on the other end, then Lucas's mocking laugh suddenly echoed. "You're getting engaged? Who are you trying to fool?" I smiled softly. "Lucas, this time it's real." This was the first time I had called him Lucas directly, and it was the clearest sign that I had completely let go. But he didn't answer. There was only a prolonged silence, followed by the sound of crashing objects, accompanied by Luna's panicked cry. "Lucas, where are you going?" In the very next second, for the first time, I heard him shout at her. "What does it have to do with you? It's just a relationship. Do you think you're that important?" I decisively hung up. My heart pounded, a sense of unease rising. I immediately called Caleb. 5 minutes later, the doorbell rang. Caleb went to open it, and just as I expected, it was Lucas. As soon as he saw Caleb, he threw a punch. Caleb staggered back a step. I rushed over to catch him, my eyes filled with reproach as I looked at Lucas. "Are you crazy?" Lucas suddenly froze, staring at me in shock. "Iris, you weren't like this before." Seeing the trickle of blood at the corner of Caleb's lip, I found strength from somewhere and forcefully pushed Lucas out the door. "You're not welcome here. Never come again." The door slammed shut with a definitive sound. Caleb winced, softly sucking in a breath. "His hand is strong, huh?" My nose stung, my voice deep, mixed with reproach. "You knew it was him. Why did you open the door?" He froze, then suddenly understood that I was hurting because he was hit. His hand reached out and gently pinched my cheek. "It's okay. This was bound to happen sooner or later. He's let out his anger. He probably won't come again." I frowned, my voice full of disgust. "By what right does he have to be angry? Who does he think he is?" Caleb chuckled. Perhaps he rarely saw me so angry. "This side of you is truly rare and cute too." I applied the medicine to him with more force, annoyed. He took a deep breath, his eyes full of affection, but his tone carried a hint of grievance. All right, I won't say any more." From that day until the night before our engagement, I continuously received messages from Lucas. "Iris, you always followed me before, calling my name repeatedly." "Iris, Luna and I broke up. There's no such thing as a white moonlight. I just realized you've affected me too much. I know all those things she did were intentional, so I indulged her to make things difficult for you, just to cut ties with you. But I regret it now, Iris. Can you come back to me?" I never replied, nor did I tell Caleb. It wasn't until the night before the engagement that I drafted a message and sent it. "I wish you a happy engagement." Immediately, he called. I hesitated for a moment, then still picked up. His voice was choked. "Iris, don't call me Lucas. Call my name like you used to. Call me Lucas or Ah Yen, it's fine." I sighed softly. "You don't know how disgusting it is when you don't keep your distance." Then I gave a light laugh. "It's too late. Go to bed early." Before he could say anything more, I hung up. Then I sent Caleb a message. "Good night." He replied very quickly, as if he had been waiting. "Good night. You'll love the engagement party tomorrow." The day of the engagement. As soon as I stepped out of the room, I suddenly froze. From the dessert bar arrangement to the bouquet I held, everything was exactly to my liking. Caleb stood tall, his eyes secretly observing my expression like a big dog waiting for praise. I deliberately kept a serious face. Seeing his lips immediately droop, "Don't you like something?" I was silent for a few seconds, then broke into a radiant smile. "I love everything." The party went smoothly. In the middle of it, Caleb knelt on one knee. He said things had happened too quickly, and he hadn't had a chance to propose, which he felt very bad about. But just as he took out the ring, the door suddenly burst open. Lucas appeared, looking disheveled, with stubble and messy hair. He held a bag in his hand. His eyes fell on my hand, the hand that was about to receive a ring. His eyes were bloodshot. He opened the bag, his voice trembling. "Iris, this is the bridesmaid dress we chose together back then, do you remember? I had a tailor make it to that exact design. Please come with me, okay? Let's be together so everyone knows you're my girlfriend. I won't make things difficult for your mother anymore. From now on, we'll live a good life." I withdrew my hand, seeing the smile on Caleb's face become strained. Seeing a glimmer of hope in Lucas's eyes, I stepped in front of him. "Lucas!" He beamed, clearly overjoyed. "You finally called my name?" But immediately after, a resounding slap landed on his face. I laughed, my eyes cold. "You are truly despicable and disgusting." The smile on his face slowly disappeared as if he couldn't believe it. "What did you say?" "I said you are so despicable it makes me sick." Tears welled up in my eyes. I pointed to the door. "Take your things and get out." Perhaps this time, he truly realized I had completely let him go. He dejectedly picked up the dress, turned, and slowly walked out. From behind, Caleb hugged me, his voice carrying a hint of fear. "You scared me to death. I thought you were going to run after him." That sentence broke the tense atmosphere. He seriously explained the situation to his parents. I felt guilty, bowing my head, not daring to look. But his mother took my hand. "We don't blame you, don't blame yourself. If Caleb ever bullies you in the future, tell me and I'll hit him." I chuckled and nodded. My eyes met my mother's. She looked as if she was crying, but a relieved smile bloomed on her lips. Not long after, my mother informed me that she had divorced. She said that the days of living dependent on others, always having to gauge their moods to survive, she had endured enough. Now that I had found a stable place, she had nothing left to worry about. The life ahead might be difficult, but at least she could live with a lighter heart. I suggested she move in with us, but she resolutely refused. In the end, my mother moved into the small apartment I used to live in. I could only visit her occasionally. Sometimes I would accidentally run into my stepfather, Mr. Liu. He sighed helplessly. "What did I do wrong? Why am I involved in this? People say misfortunes shouldn't fall on children, nor should they affect parents. Iris, can you help me say a few good words?" Hearing this, I just shook my head. Perhaps Mr. Liu never directly made things difficult for my mother, but the grievances she suffered because of Lucas were too many. I respected my mother's decision and would not interfere. When I was still entangled with Lucas, I was both frustrated by his indifferent attitude towards my mother and convinced that he was only doing it to attract Mr. Liu's attention. That's why I was stuck in that twisted relationship for a long time. Fortunately, it all finally ended. When Caleb told me that Mr. Liu had transferred Lucas to a company branch in a remote area, I just quietly nodded. Then I showed him my ready-written resignation letter. "Young Master Caleb, can the GU Group offer me a position?" He generously waved his hand. "Anything you want. How about CEO's wife?" I chuckled and shook my head. "Just a normal job to work my way up is enough. But at the company, we can't reveal our relationship." That evening, Caleb leaned his head on my shoulder, his voice a little resentful. "Why do I always have to be the one who can't go public like this? When we first fell in love, we had to hide. Now we're engaged and we still have to hide." I laughed at his aggrieved expression, gently promising, "After we get married, we won't have to hide anymore." He snorted, laughing sarcastically. "Of course, once we're married, what else is there to hide?" The night before the wedding, unlike couples who often avoid seeing each other before the ceremony, Caleb and I talked all night until dawn. He said he used to worry that he was just a replacement, that I was trying to forget the past, and that he was the only one truly immersed in this relationship. Initially, he merely felt sorry for me when he saw me being treated badly by Lucas. But the more time we spent together, the more he couldn't help but truly fall for me. I told him that I was grateful for that time because he was always by my side. Thanks to him, the fallen hair on the floor, the long nights of endless tears, the sleepless nights, none of it could break me. And thanks to that day, when we climbed to the mountaintop to watch the sunrise, The first rays of light tearing through the gloomy clouds also simultaneously dispelled the heavy fog in my heart. From that moment, I decided I had to bravely step out of the past. As I wished to have Caleb by my side, I no longer loved Lucas. Gradually, I no longer hated him either. In my heart, he was finally just an ordinary passerby, someone who no longer had the power to stir my emotions. That day, as the story drew to a close, Caleb lifted my face, his eyes full of regret. "If only I could have loved you sooner, you wouldn't have suffered so much." I looked at him, a radiant smile on my face. Now is the perfect time. Not too early, not too late. He leaned down and kissed me, and I seriously reciprocated the unspoken words. We had a lifetime to continue. Wedding day. The next morning, I woke up in the hotel. My phone quietly lay on the bedside table, displaying a message from Caleb, "Waiting to pick you up." Sitting in the car, I boredly looked out the window, suddenly catching sight of a car without wedding flowers quietly following behind. At the same time, Caleb and I both received an identical message: "Congratulations on your marriage." We both knew who sent it, but neither of us mentioned it. Caleb frowned slightly, as if worried about something. I reached out and gently stroked his forehead, helping him relax his brows. "Don't worry, he won't cause a scene. His pride won't allow him to lose face twice." Caleb snorted softly, his tone full of jealousy. "You understand him too well, don't you?" I feigned anger. "Who are you comforting here?" At this, he finally laughed, his eyes gentle. I secretly thought, he's easily appeased after all. But just as I was about to look out the window again, he pulled up the car window. I sighed. It turned out I had misjudged. This man was incredibly difficult to appease. Lucas didn't appear. He only left a wedding envelope and quietly departed. Afterwards, I received a message from him. "Consider it your brother sending you off to your husband's home. This wedding money is my wedding gift." Caleb saw it and frowned, trying to snatch my phone. "Block him, he's so annoying." I held his hand back, smiling. "Keeping it proves I've truly let go. If I block him, he'll think I still care." Caleb paused for a moment, his eyes showing understanding. I sent one last message. "Thank you, I wish you happiness too." Putting down my phone, I looked up at the person in front of me, the corners of my lips slowly curling up. I suddenly remembered that day, when he took me to watch the sunrise, he once said very seriously, "Pure white tea, gentle morning sun. Wait for the wind to come and wait for me to come." Now, he had finally arrived.